Sam Crosby joins us right now, full of the Christmas spirit and excited for many, many things. Now, I should tell you, he does a lot of great work with Vinnie's. Vinnie's is a great charity, and I want people in all of their Christmas stockings and all the rest of it, find a way to back a charity, okay? It could be food bank, it could be anything, but I would say Vinnie's is doing excellent work.
So would I.
Please find a way to support them. If you can, right? So maybe it's the adults don't give presents and you're just going to give a donation. He's not asking me to make that point. I'm making it on my own. And the wonderful Matt Canavan, who has given plenty of blood, sweat and tears to the good people of North Queensland and so many other things. What's in the background? Are you in your man cave again tonight and you've upgraded everything? What's behind us there? I love the background.
Actually, Paul, this was a lovely donation from a gentleman who passed away a few months ago. Mate. This is all the coal mines he worked at. He's got badges from all of them and he donated it to my office. I'm in my office. I've just had dinner for my son's 18th birthday, so slipping across the road from the Italian restaurant Pacino's, excellent restaurant here in Rockhampton.
That's it.
And live from you from here.
Mate, mention my name, pay full price. That's the way it normally works. All right. Now, speaking of pubs, I've saved it till now because I wanted to throw it around with you guys. I made it clear last night that the way that that company decided to virtue signal in and around Australia Day was a reason to say, OK, go somewhere else this summer. Now, they've apparently found some way to slightly backtrack on it, but can I just see what they actually said today? Because I think there's plenty of PR weasel words in all of this. Australia Day is a day that causes sadness for some members of our community, so we have decided not to specifically celebrate that day because it causes harm to some of the patrons and staff. That's what they said yesterday. Today, it's, no, look, we're open to anyone and everyone who wants to do whatever they want on Australia Day, but they haven't promised to put the bunting up. Now, Matt, I saw you got a good run on the Today Show. I heard that the hosts were scoffing and all the rest of it, but who cares? You're, funnily enough, where the majority of people were, and I reckon there was a lot of people who, like me, have been to plenty of these venues, in fact, have annual traditions of going to some of these venues, who did, as I did after the show last night, cancel bookings.
Well, look, I didn't need to cancel a booking. I wasn't going to one of these pubs anyway. But, I mean, a couple of points to make here, Paul. I know the Woolworths CEO stepped down last year. He must have found a new job already running these pubs. Because, I mean, how could you make this decision after seeing the Woolworths fiasco last year? They got absolutely towed up over their decision to remove Australian products on Australian Day. They had a big drop in their sales, although their sales growth was much, much lower. But after inflation, they had a big drop in their sales in Woolworths, and they backtracked on it. So, look, at least we're shortening the distance now, Paul, between a woke proclamation and a woke back down. It's now happening within 24 hours. So there is a clear reaction. The people spoke, I think, in that time. The other point I just want to make is, look, I've got no problem you going to pubs, but they do sell alcohol. And since when do they get to be the moral guardians for the rest of us? I mean, we seem to have banks out there telling us what to do. I mean, banks. I mean, these people have effectively been robber barons the last decade. And I'm just sick and tired of corporations, big corporations often, who make a lot of money. Good luck to them. But you're not saints, and you don't get to espouse some kind of 10 commandments like you've just come down from Mount Sinai when you're just trying to run a business. Just go and run your business and stop trying to be the moral guardian of the rest of us.
Also, Sam, one of the pubs they own, I'm not joking, in South Australia is called The Colonist. That's one of the pubs they own.
Sounds like
Many,
a good pub.
if not all of the pubs have got poker machines, all right? Yeah. So the whole point is, if you want to make your social stands, there's a whole series of things you can do. So that's fine if that's what they want to do. But the whole point is, someone in marketing decided to bang this one out nice and early. Presumably, someone higher than the marketing person's gone, what's happened in the past 24 hours?
But that's the problem,
colonist,
right?
the colonist isn't doing Australia Day, and the colonist is still part of their portfolio.
But it's the press release, right? Like, I'll be honest, I can't remember any pub that I've gone to if they've got an Australian flag up. You go in, you get your beer, you sit with your mates, you have it. Fine. It's putting the press release out, in this sort of, absurd virtue signalling, wanky virtue signalling. If you've got those views, fine. Great. I know a lot of Australia does. That's fine, but don't do it. Stay home, hang out with your mates at home, or don't hang out. Sit in a dark room by yourself. Do whatever you want to do, right? It's the telling everyone. It just grates, doesn't it? Just gets on your nerves.
The Colonist, this is their website. The Colonist's gaming room features 33 of the latest poker machines in a welcoming atmosphere, set out with ample room in each machine for your comfort and enjoyment. I continue. Attention to detail and cleanliness makes the Colonist a destination venue for many who play the pokies.
Well, my tip, Paul, is hit the cat o' nine tails poker machine. That's a lucky one. That one pays out.
Fair dinkum. Again, right, if you're going to do it, somebody's going to find this stuff. I waited 24 hours to double check, and I did. But I'm pleased. And look, I love the pokies, all right? And, you know,
Is the Queen of the Nile still culturally appropriate, though? I mean...
Good point.
I don't know.
Yes. Mr. Cashman is, not gender neutral. Any others we can mention here? Dollar store. Anyway, you get the whole point. I'm across the issue rather well. Anyway, it is where it is. Took a little survey of our staff today to go, OK, they've done the backflip. Do we go and rebook? No, 1 year ban for the venue. So a place that I've loved for a long time. No summer for me. Nature positive, Matt. The Prime Minister, I want to make this nice and clear. Over the weekend, people were pretending that this thing's been torn up and disappeared. No, it still exists. They'll reintroduce it to the Parliament if they'd want to. Theoretically, they could get a double dissolution out of it if they really wanted to keep voting against it. And just in case anyone doubts, the Prime Minister yesterday, not in the Parliament, not quietly, yesterday on taxpayer television, he committed the government to the policy of nature positive.
OK, there is a draft agreement, though, and a letter to you that says draft agreement on the top and spells out what that...
no, there's not, David.
What that... Well, I've seen the
a draft letter from who?
A draft agreement from Tanya Plibersek to the Greens laying out the amendments.
Well, there's no draft agreement to me.
Just to be clear, you're saying you weren't aware that the minister had written a draft agreement letter to the Greens laying out...
Well, we were negotiating through a series of legislation. 45 pieces of legislation went through.
Now, Matt, we've talked about it before. Give us an idea what this legislation is, because you and plenty of others can campaign on it at the next election. It has not been torn up. It is still their first principle. It is still their intention to make it law. What is it?
Well, it's effectively putting the foxes in charge of the chicken coop there, Paul. What this will do will put activist bureaucrats in charge of every project in this country. And so we just saw a small window into that when the current Minister for Environment, who seems to be doing a good job imitating an activist, stopped $1 billion gold mine because of concerns about a mythical bee. It's not even impact on a real bee. It's an impact on a story about a bee. I mean, this is what's going to happen if we let those bureaucrats providing that advice actually make the final decisions, and that's what this bill would do. Now, what's clear here to me is the Prime Minister has pulled a bunch of this stuff, not because he doesn't believe in it anymore, but because he wants to keep his powder dry. He wants to keep his powder dry for a minority government.
Correct.
It's almost inevitable if Labor is to stay in power. And the positions the Labor Party has right now aren't just their policies, they're just the starting point of negotiations. And what the Greens will do to form minority government is take them even further to the left and more radical and more destructive for our economy. And that is going to be what's the real choice before the Australian people at this election. If you vote for the Labor Party, you're going to get a whole lot of scary green policies from behind a curtain that Labor's hiding right now that they'll pull back after the election to offer to the Greens to stay in government. But you won't know what they are. You won't exactly know what the details are if you vote for the Labor Party this time.
Now, you're talking about pulling back curtains. Did one of your kids take you to Wicked this weekend? Are you making a little Wizard of Oz reference there? Did you go and sing? You didn't see it this weekend? Yeah. It's the It movie. It's very little campier than I would expect your tastes to be in film. But I thought the pulling back of the curtain a lovely reference.
They're still worked up about the under-16 social media ban, Paul. They just won't stop complaining.
True. We'll get to it. All right. Sam, again, the principles that have just been said there by Matt. Remember, Roger Cook, WA Premier, apparently had problems with this legislation, so much so that he thought it would be a version of his own government and the heritage laws, which, of course, in part helped sink the Voice quickly in Western Australia. Queensland was never going to vote for it, but he has said, please don't do this. Prime Minister doubles down and says, OK, cool, we won't do it now, but maybe later.
So look, my understanding was that the Prime Minister said he wanted to negotiate this through with the Liberal Party and the coalition, and had some sort of agreement, or Tanya had some sort of agreement with the Greens, which he said no, he wanted to make this a bipartisan thing. I don't have any information to contradict him on that, and so I'm taking him at face value, and I hope that's right. I mean, in general, I think most Australians would hope that most legislation, especially big things like this, are agreed between the major political parties.
Matt, what were the chances you could do a deal on this? Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, what are the chances you could touch?
I mean, this is the Labor Party's policy. It's their policy. It remains their policy, as you said, Paul. So you can, as Sam said, only take people on their face value. So if you vote for them, they're going to try and implement it. And I think what's worse is with the risk of the minority government might even be made worse.